Hey everyone, what's going on? I just wanted to jump in and chat about the hotfix that dropped for Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Yep, that's the one, the collection we've been looking at, hotfix 11.011.25. And I figured I'd walk through what changed, what it means, and why. If you're playing it, it's worth checking out. This isn't going to be super formal, just me talking you through all the tweaks and how they might affect your experience. So, first off, the collection itself is a pretty big deal. It bundles a whole lot of the early games in the franchise, arcade originals, console ports from the 90s and early 2000s, all that nostalgic stuff that helped define what Mortal Kombat became. Because with that kind of mix comes a lot of potential issues. Different platforms, different emulation quirks, sound bugs, input lag, stability, the usual stuff you run into with retro compilations. So, seeing a hotfix this soon after launch is actually a really good sign. It means the devs are listening and working to make sure these classics run as well as they deserve to. Now let's break down what this update actually does, because there's a lot packed into it, even though it's labeled as a hotfix. The first big thing is improved audio buffering for online play. If you've ever played online matches and felt that little stutter in the sound, or maybe the music didn't sync quite right, this fix is addressing exactly that. It's subtle, but smoother audio means smoother timing. And timing is everything in a fighting game. Even for those older titles, nothing throws you off more than an audio hiccup right when you're trying to land a combo. Next, one that's going to make a lot of people happy, the missing audio in the 32X version of Mortal Kombat 2 has been restored. If you've played that version in the collection and something felt off, that's because it was. The sound effects weren't coming through properly, and it really dulled the experience. Now that it's fixed, the game feels more alive again, just like it did back in the day. Then there's a note about general improvements to Mortal Kombat 4. They don't go into exact details, but you can probably assume it's about performance, maybe better controller response, maybe even fixes for emulation accuracy. If you've noticed that MK4 felt a bit inconsistent compared to the others, this patch might smooth that out. Here's a fun one. In Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, there was a bizarre bug that caused the game to reboot completely if you performed Scorpion's Fatality. Imagine you're showing off to a friend, you nail the move perfectly, and then boom, boom, your game restarts. That's the kind of bug that makes you laugh once, but cry after the fifth time. That issue's gone now, so you can finally show off your finishers without worrying about crashing your session. They also mentioned general stability improvements for the Genesis titles in the collection. These versions sometimes had odd memory leaks or frame hitches in emulation, so tightening that up is always appreciated. Those Genesis ports have their own charm, and it's nice to see them treated with care. One tweak that's more about comfort than performance. The pause button's hold time has been reduced by 50%. Sounds tiny, right? But in practice, it feels so much better. You no longer have to press and hold for what feels like forever just to pause a game or bring up the menu. It's quick, responsive, and keeps the action flowing naturally. When you're mid-fight, even a second feels like forever, so this one's going to make a difference for people who play regularly. Now, let's talk about what might be the most fan-friendly addition in the entire hotfix, one-button fatalities. Yes, that's right. You can now perform fatalities in the arcade titles with just a single button press. Before anyone freaks out, this isn't forced on you. It's an option you can enable for each game individually. Once you turn it on, you'll see an overlay that shows which button triggers the fatality. This is honestly great for players who love the spectacle but don't remember all those specific button combinations from 30 years ago. It keeps the drama and fun without the frustration. It also makes the game way more accessible for casual players or anyone just revisiting the classics for nostalgia's sake. Another improvement worth noting is stability in the music player feature. If you've used that in the collection, the part where you can listen to the game's soundtrack and browse the music, you might have noticed the occasional stutter or crash. This update smooths that out, so you can actually enjoy those iconic tracks without interruption. All of these tweaks together make the collection feel a lot more polished. Even though these aren't flashy additions like new characters or modes, they're the kind of things that make your experience smoother, faster, and less buggy. And that's what you want with something like this: stability and reliability. Now, what does this mean for players? If you're already playing the Legacy Collection, definitely update to the latest version. It's worth it just for the audio and stability improvements alone. If you've been frustrated by any of those weird issues, the missing sounds, the reboot bug, or even that overly long pause hold, those are gone. You'll probably notice the difference the next time you play. If you're thinking about buying the collection but haven't yet, this is a solid sign that the developers are taking feedback seriously. Nothing's worse than a retro collection that gets released and then abandoned. But with updates like this coming in fast, you can tell the dev team is committed to making it right. For now, this patch is live on Steam, so PC players can already experience these fixes. Console players, though, might have to wait a bit. The update will roll out to other platforms soon, so just keep an eye out for when it lands on yours. Another interesting thing that came out alongside this update is the devs talking about the online matchmaking situation. Some people have been reporting trouble finding matches or getting disconnected. The devs said they've been investigating and believe the issue isn't actually with the game itself, but possibly with the matchmaking service behind it. So that's something they're keeping an eye on too. Online play in older games can be tricky. Rollback, matchmaking, latency, it's all complex stuff, and it's cool that they're being upfront about it. Community feedback on this patch has been mostly positive so far. Some players say they didn't experience big problems before, while others say this fixed exactly what they were struggling with. It's one of those updates where a bunch of small things add up to a noticeably smoother experience. The best kind of patch, really. Not flashy, but effective. If you've updated already, I'd recommend testing a few things yourself. Load up the 32X MK2 and see if the sound feels fuller. Try performing Scorpion's Fatality in UMK3 and watch it not crash for once. Enable the one-button Fatalities feature and see how it feels compared to the old input method. Try pausing mid-round and notice how quick the menu pops up now. It's all subtle quality of life improvements, but together they make the game feel tighter and more enjoyable. For console and handheld players, keep an eye out in the next few days. It's likely this patch will go live soon across all platforms, and once it does, we'll probably see even more feedback and maybe even another wave of smaller fixes after that. And speaking of that, the devs have already hinted that more updates are coming, so this isn't the end, just part of an ongoing effort to make this collection the best version of itself. That's encouraging to see because it shows they're not done fine-tuning it. So, wrapping it all up, the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection hotfix on Wenera 125 might not sound huge at first glance, but it's actually a strong sign of where things are heading. It fixes some annoying bugs, polishes up a few rough edges, and adds a couple of fan-friendly touches that make the games more accessible and fun to play. Whether you're a longtime MK fan revisiting your childhood favorites, or a newer player curious about where the franchise started, this update makes the experience that much smoother. If you've already tried it out, let me know what you think. Are you noticing the difference in audio or performance? Have you tested the one-button Fatalities yet? I'd love to hear what stands out to you the most. Thanks for hanging out and listening through, and as always, I'll catch you all in the next one.